You are with the Real Therapist for the Culture. I am Sophia.
I am Dr. L. Good morning.
Good morning. And we are here. Today feels like dreary and cold. I was like...
It's a little more... It's been nice, but then it's just gotten... the weather has relapsed a little bit.
And I don't like that feeling because it was starting to get me hype. I was taking the coats and moving them and only having little jean jackets and stuff. And today I was like, well, wait, now I need to go in the closet. So it's like I want the weather to be consistent how I want the people in my life to be.
Oh, shit. Good luck with that.
So,
Good luck with that.
Here we are. We moving into summer.
We're moving into summer. We're moving out of the Mercury retrograde. That's just what I'm waiting for.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I like that breath. So, I mean, do you want to jump right in or you want to share anything? Or you just...
So we getting started this morning. I want to thank everybody. Our subscribers have increased significantly on the statistical side. Mm-hmm. Our numbers have increased, and we absolutely appreciate and love everybody who has liked, shared, subscribed. Encourage your fellow persons to also do the same.
Yes,
and so we see you.
And, we did take some accountability by having a guest and realizing that we haven't checked even or asked the people up close with us, are they following? So I have gone through roll call and my nephew and one of my besties, and I did, and they were like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize because I'm only listening on the streaming, exactly,
yes.
and not my YouTube. So that did push us as well. Wait, I did want to say, this is what I was thinking. Your girl Beyonce with her country album, all of that is really cool, right? But I said to someone yesterday, it's Autism Awareness Acceptance Month. And this album has been out for 2 weeks. And Jolene, every word, all the songs on this. Tell me what you have learned about autism this month. And it was like nothing. And I was like, you know what? I'm saying that on this platform. Don't be so caught up in this other stuff that you are not paying attention to what's happening in life. Here we got May coming up, and it's going to be mental health awareness. And I mean, we make mental health every day.
Every day.
But those awareness months push companies, organizations, people to say, let me do a little bit more research. And come on, don't know this whole country album and you have not found anything out about this pervasive development disorder.
So, okay, I'm not knocking that.
Yeah.
There is chatter, however, that Rumi is on the spectrum.
Got you.
Their twin son. Mm-hmm. They've skirted around.
Okay.
They've skirted around it a little. They haven't really said that. They kind of have said they just use special needs.
Got you. Okay.
They say that they protect Rumi. You don't see Rumi in the light the way you see everybody. Like you might see not Rumi, Sir.
Got you.
Sir.
Okay.
Sir is on the spectrum. You don't see possibly.
Right.
Yeah, he's not in the mix.
See, that's gonna even make me even more upset, right? Like, let's say
it was true.
It's true. Now everybody's gonna be like wearing their puzzle pieces and lighting it up blue. That drives me insane.
I get that.
However, but I get where we are in this world. But as we wrapping up this month, just kind of do your due diligence and finding out what it means. Yeah. What does that?
What it means in that it doesn't look like one thing either, but
yeah,
increasing your awareness. So
that's it. That's all we got. That. So come on, what you got for me and us?
So I came here today with a notebook because I left my iPad in the office. I called the office. I got here like 10 and I called the office. I was like, is my iPad in the office? Yep.
Wow.
in the desk. So I had to, transfer some notes to my book. But then I sat there and I was like, that's not what I want to do.
And how much do we talk about honoring what you feel and really following through with it, even if it deviates from
whatever?
That's so.
And so I found myself on a rant this week, and I don't usually rant on social media. I found myself easily annoyed, and I was like, you know what? Sophia and I are going to have a live therapy session with one another.
Oh. We've never done that before.
We do it all the time, though.
We've never done that. This is a real one for the books, okay? That's what this is, right? Let me take my sip of water.
And so yeah. What you should know is this is how a lot of our daily conversation. Sophia is one person I talk to the most on the phone. Between her and my sister, and nobody else really can get me on the phone. I don't like being on the phone, but our check-ins often mimic a therapy session, whether we want to admit it or not, right? Because you'd be like, well, I'm not trying to be a therapist, but
I don't even say that anymore to you. It's like it is what it is. That's my being. That's your being. I don't even say that anymore. I'm not trying to do therapy. I am and not in a way, because we still speak in a very raw way. So
aggressive
it's
tone.
Yeah, exactly. As much as I am very direct as a clinician, I also wouldn't say to my client, come on, bitch, pick a struggle. What are we doing? Are we owning the space that we in, or are we gonna play victim here? Let's and I will speak to my clients in a way like that.
But you wouldn't add the other superlatives.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
No,
I get it. So
I don't even like saying it to you, but you say it so much, and I be okay, fine. But yeah.
So I tell all my clients, and I know I have clients who watch, and some of them who have been with me a long time, they already know the drill, and they say, all right, so what's going good? So I start every session with what's going good. A lot of times people rush in and they just ready to spill. Right? And sometimes
the crisis of the week. Let's just go.
Whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes we got to give power to that which is well in our life, even if it's just a crumb of wellness.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's going good, Soph?
Let me get my glasses.
Highlights of the week.
Highlights of the week. This speaks to my age, where it's I woke up. I woke up, and that's a blessing.
It is.
I don't take it for granted, seeing people transition of all ages, but being in that people keep saying mid ages is a little while. Getting something from Morgan the other day saying, congratulations, class of 2024, 20th class reunion. That was conflicting, but there was a sense of pride there. Man, you did that
20 years ago.
20 years ago.
And you sent me your you posted, actually, you have posted a picture of you at graduation. And we myself, Soph, and our third part, we went out to dinner last week and took a picture, and I'm like, yo, we are fucking aging backwards. I don't care what nobody says.
Yeah.
We look the same. Nobody's looking old in the face yet.
Yeah. And I just had a debate with someone, a loved one of mine, was like, oh, do you want to get the smiles taken out of your face? What are they called?
The Botox?
Yeah.
Smile lines?
Yeah, the smile lines. I was like, no. Because what happens is when I'm smiling, they go away. yes, I could see them. They are more prevalent than when I look at a picture when I was 20 or 25. But I'm like, no, I'm not doing anything to my face at this moment. I don't know what 60 is going to look like, right? But right now I'm not doing anything. So I do love the fact of like I feel healthy. I feel good. I did get a little emotional. I have a kid that's turning 20 literally in 6 days. And it's like, wait a second, I graduated college 20 years ago and remember moving to another state, like crying, saying to he was my boyfriend at the time, but my now husband and my stepdad and my mother, like, I changed my mind. I don't want to go to college. Don't leave me. And my mother was like, if you don't want to, we don't have to. We can pack this shit up now. And
Gail was just waiting for you to say the word about this.
She was scared of having empty nest syndrome. But that boyfriend and that other guardian was like, you got this. So I did have a moment this week about that, and it was very reflective. But, you know, things are going well. Just like I said, waking up, being healthy, being able to celebrate one of my kids about to turn 20. Overall, my kids, they got some stuff going with them, but they're healthy and they're in their right mind. So I would say that's going good.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So how is this going? Are we going back and forth? Like, do you tell me? So what's going good? Okay. So what's going good?
I think my highlights. One of my highlights is within a source of stress as well. I have been telling Sophia all week about this health fair that I'm doing with my chapter. I think everybody knows I'm a Delta. Most people know anyway. But anywho, I have been doing this health fair, spearheading it or co-spearheading it for 15 years.
Wow.
And if anybody knows me, like, I get fulfillment out of serving the community. And so, like, the health fair's at Lexington Market, right? And even though they have refurbished the Lexington Market, I have still had people say that they will not attend because they're scared to be in the environment. And I respect that for people, but for me, I find complete fulfillment and joy out of showing up and giving something to the community, right? And so I'm looking forward to it, even though it's been a little bit, it's been some work this week and some ups and downs. And I got an email that my deck is going to be started.
That's so exciting.
And so for somebody like me, like, I cannot wait.
Yeah.
Because I need to be outside. I need to be outside all summer. My sessions are happening on the deck, and that's it. So those are things that have been like highlights for me this week. And so, you know, that's where we are.
Okay. That's good. And what, you know, like you said, your clients know the drill. I say to my clients quite often too, is like, life could feel so heavy. Make sure that you are constantly identifying like the strengths, what's good. That spirit of gratitude makes the woes not feel as intense. Because I'm leading with what I'm grateful. And then I get to pop out and say, this is stressful, this is overwhelming, or whatever it may be doing for you. But if I lead with, this is heavy, that is exactly how you're going to feel. So, yeah.
What happens, though, when you're countered with with doing that, with leading with the positives or trying to shine light on the brightness that's happening in your life, when that's countered with, oh, well, I'm just like fooling myself into not think about the stressful things.
Yeah, no, I don't, I feel just still kind of like what I said. what happens with many of us in life is feeling like when one thing is happening, that's the only thing that's happening. It's like, even with trauma, right? I say, remind myself and to clients and just even people in my personal life that traumatic situation is a small part of your life. I know it feels intense because sometimes people will assume that that means we're minimizing the abuse, the loss, and all of that. And it's like, no, it's not minimizing it, but look at it like a book.
Okay.
That's sometimes it ain't even a full chapter. There's so much to you besides how you was raised or what happened there. So I feel the same way where it's like, no, I'm not dismissing or denying my finances is crazy over here, or I'm dealing with my child having a lot of intense moments at school. I'm not, but that's just a little part of my whole book. It's like, what else is going in my life? What else is good? What else doesn't feel as good? So it's really just understanding that everything doesn't deserve that much power.
It's about choosing where you give the power.
Yeah. Like I'm not going to minimize, like, damn, growing up in Brooklyn was intense. The things that I experienced, the losses, that was intense. But there is a lot of joy that my life has brought too. A client said to me the other day that's so connected to this. She said, sometimes when I'm in therapy, I'm focusing on what hasn't gone good in my childhood. That just the other day when you said something, it sparked me to remember I did also have good memories with this person. Yeah. And she's like, for so long, it was only this person did this and this unforgiveness and that. But it's like, damn, I remember when we was at the park and I remember this and I remember that. And I'm like, boom, now you got it. You keep trying to look for these tools and skills to support you getting through the trauma, which is valid. But another key is being able to acknowledge it wasn't all bad. And it takes some of the heat and the judgment off of that person or that time period or whatever. When you're able to say, this, it's not an all or nothing kind of situation.
I like that. I like that.
But don't get me wrong, I'm not exempt. Don't think like, oh, I'm a spiritual life coach. I've been doing therapy for 20 years. Sometimes I have to train myself to get back into, whoa. What are you grateful for?
Right. So that's a good segue into, any struggles this week? Any points of contention, missed opportunities, disappointments?
Yeah, I had a few. Two things came up pretty intense for me this week. One was feeling like stagnant to some extent. And my husband said, do you feel like it's burnout? And I said, I don't think it's burnout because I still really feel very passionate about what I'm doing. I still love what I do. But I realized that, I've shared being a perfectionist and an overachiever for so long that I feel tired. And it's like, since kindergarten, it's like, I gotta get an A, I gotta get the star or sticker. So here we fast forward all these years, I do feel a little tired, and honoring that tiredness to say, okay, let's relax. Maybe you don't need to see this amount of clients, but then I will feel like you're not doing enough.
Okay.
You're not doing enough because I'm not moving and shaking as much as I did. So it was like, okay, how do I find a balance with that? So that was one piece that came up, like what to do with honoring feeling that I've been going for a long time.
Wait, but let me go back to stagnant.
Yeah.
When because that was your first word. And then did you realize that what your definition of stagnant was really showing up as being tired? Because some of us use the word stagnant in a way that almost reflects like lack of motivation and disappointment that we're not moving.
Yeah, so that is how it showed up. And as I processed it, it was like, well, you really just may be tired. But it started with that because initially when I said stagnant, stuck came to my mind of like, what's next? How do you want to play around with what you're doing and what do you want to add and things like that. So stagnant was a true feeling, but like I said, as I kind of explored, like, what you mean by that when you saying stagnant? And it's like, you're tired and it's okay.
Okay.
And especially being from New York, it's like everything was fast paced, right? A New York minute. So I've been in that flow, and it's like being okay with, I don't want to. I don't want to work 60 hours a week anymore. I don't want to do that either. So it's really almost retraining myself to understanding that doing a lot doesn't also mean productivity.
Right.
You know, where it's like, that's what I was doing. Like, I'm getting home at 8:00 every night and I'm this and I'm that. And it's like, was I always feeling productive?
Or sometimes in that space, when you are feeling stagnant, it's just like going back to how we started this conversation. We're feeling stagnant because we're ignoring the progress that we are making or the movement that we are making because maybe maybe the steps aren't as big or maybe the pace is not as fast as you want it to be. And so sometimes that's a part too.
Exactly. And then also what I realize is being okay with something different, right? Where, like I said, I've been doing it that way for so long, and being okay that I want to slow down and I'm okay with it and not convincing myself because my peers are still moving really fast that I don't want to do that anymore. I have no desire to work the way that I've been working for 20 years.
Okay.
And really accepting that changing of age, changing of the seasons, and changing that I really want to shift my career in a different way. I think there's some grief there.
Absolutely.
Which lead to my second part, which it's all connected, is acknowledging that I am still really grieving. Having a very significant loss in December, I know clinically, personally, there's no time frame for it, but understanding that stagnation is also connected to I am grieving and expecting that career is supposed to be this and then personally is separate, but they are merging because there's a level of grief that's happening in both areas.
So
it's like I be therapizing myself. I'm always my first client. So by the end of the week it was like
but
you know what's happening here.
You know what's interesting is that in being able to connect the two, and I could see where it would have been harder for you to connect the two because the way that you have responded to this instance of grief is very different than how it has shown up previously, right? Because sometimes grief looks very heavy, like outwardly heavily emotional. We have outward emotions and we have inward emotions. And so I know that, and this is where the minimal disclosure comes in with my client Soph is when I lost my grandmother, it was heavy outward and I knew that I wasn't moving. I was like floating, right?
Yeah.
Years later, in like 2-3 or 4 losses later, it was different. And so I had to stop, like, wait a minute, what's happening here? Because it looked different. It wasn't as obvious, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yes, that connection makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was that, like, oh, wow, this is what's really, really coming up for you. And, anniversaries and birthdays and things like that gets even louder too. I'm like, oh my gosh, her birthday is approaching, and Mother's Day and all these different kind of things. It's like, what to go to what you said, I'm handling it outwardly different. Inwardly, I am really struggling. And it's like, oh my gosh, because it looks different outwardly, I have convinced myself, like, oh, you got this, you're doing good. But every time I have a moment, it's like, I am like stagnant inside. I feel like, I think I used like quicksand to my husband. I was like, I feel like I'm moving, but it's like slow motion. And outwardly, before with other griefs, I would kind of isolate and like deal with it. So I am still engaging and trying to be more effective with not pushing people away. But internally, it's like my stomach hurts. My chest still feels really tight. I'm almost about to send my grandmother a message regularly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you gotta be okay with this is where you are, baby. And not expecting something different. So that was very, very loud this week. And I was like, I my little prayer space is in my closet, because that is the place where a kid won't like just bust in. In my office they will, but the closet they won't as much, unless ZJ will be like, hey, you in there praying? Can I come and pray too? We haven't prayed together in there in a while. Like, so they do still invade, but I was able to just allow myself like to get out some good cries. Like some tears will show up sometimes, but it was like, oh, you've been holding this in. And I just was like crying at my little altar, like, I miss you so much. It was so good when I got up. I was like, all right, let's do this.
Ready for round 2?
Yeah, we got this. We got this. So
I'm glad you allowed yourself to be in that space, though.
Yeah, I haven't, because so many people in my life is grieving her too.
That makes it so much more complicated.
Oh my gosh. So it's like, not that I'm faking or holding it, because we talk about it openly, but I know that my kids are worriers too. So I try to avoid them seeing like a big breakdown like that before they go to school, but my husband is grieving. My children were there as this transition was happening. So everyone is dealing with it in their own level. So it's like, oh, I didn't even realize I needed that moment with no one there to feel like they needed to coddle me or join in. It was a good dolo thing. So that was freeing, but it felt really intense this week.
Got you. Oh, beautiful.
Good. Yeah, right.
Beautiful.
It was good to even say it. Like, so tell me about you. What's been coming up for you this week that may have been a little heavy?
So, I have found myself at different ends of the spectrum, right? Or what I consider different ends of the spectrum. So in one sense, heavily annoyed by people in their audacity.
We've been using that word quite frequently too, though.
Yeah. How people respond to me. We used to talk about this a lot as we have matriculated in our friendship, about how, people will put these labels on you and they stick the labels there. And they never go away. And so I'm having this like annoyed by people treating me based on how I might have been years ago, many years ago.
Okay.
And trying not to respond how I would have responded many years ago.
Right? Because then that reinforce what they say. See? Told you she's still blank, right? Good awareness.
And so I had posted something this week, and I was like, my level of self-awareness has matured. My level of self-control, it waxes and wanes at times, especially when I feel like I'm like to my limit. Like, you're not gonna keep playing with me. And so I've been teetering on that, like how I respond to people when this is how they like approach me. And I do feel like it's a lose-lose. Like every option that I consider, not responding, delaying my response, or just impulsively. I haven't impulsively responded. Once I did.
Okay.
Once I did. But I was at my limit. And that was to the stranger. That was to the Mohila stranger. When I told you.
And I'm not going to say people deserve it, but it's like, one of the things that I remind myself of is that as we are developing and evolving, being mindful of not killing off a version of yourself, right?
Absolutely.
One of my mantras and visions from above my business is, it's not about changing who you are, it's about mastering who you are. So even those labels that people have placed you and the ones that you can identify with, it's okay, that's what it is. I'm not pushing that away or burying that. I know how to control that version of me now, because there are times when it may be needed.
Right.
But now I have the discipline, I have the awareness of knowing when she needs to show up and when she doesn't. You know what I'm saying? So it's like with the Mohila situation, it's kind of like, I needed to stand up for myself, but it may not have been warranted for the text or this that happened there. And it's like, that's the beauty of loving on you. Because it could feel so harsh when it's like, I don't want to be aggressive. I don't want to be considered mean. I don't want to,
so
you know what I'm saying?
That's exactly that's it. That's the one right there, right? I have for very long, because I'm not, I have been labeled as mean, and I'm not mean. Like I'm not a mean person.
Yeah.
I can be mean. I know when I'm, that's where my level of awareness is. I know when I'm intentionally being mean.
Yeah.
Right. But even not operating in that space, someone giving you that tag, it now I'm annoyed because I'm like, you don't know me.
So, and that's the thing, right? So one, we get to honor ourselves and say like, that's not even who I am. But when someone is still giving you that label, going a little deeper, what is it about their perception or opinion of you that bothers you?
So sometimes it doesn't bother me.
Okay. But the times it does, what is it about there?
When it does, because it bothers me when I know that's not what it is. Right? And then it's like, now for me, it's not even about, it's like, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, like, how dare you? How dare you? And that's where the audacity comes in, right? And And it's hard to calmly say, who the fuck do you think you are?
But then on the flip side, though, I hear you saying, you don't know me. And when you have that level of awareness, this person doesn't know me anymore. They know the 10-year-old version of me. They don't know me now. How come that isn't suffice for you?
So do you appeal for yourself, or because for me, I don't usually feel the need to appeal for myself. And it's like, that's the space, because it's like, and I always think about, okay, do I need to advocate for myself right now? Is this a situation where advocating for myself, or even just highlighting who I am, is it important? Is it worth it? Is it not? Because this person really doesn't matter, and I don't care beyond this moment.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I think it will come up different in each situation. But the first thing is, anytime someone is making an attempt to say who they think you are, first thing I will offer is you get to check in with you. Damn, they just said that I was mean and I was very standoffish. Let me check in. Was I? Once you do that part, nothing else is your business. Yeah. Nothing else is your business, right? And it's like, now if it's like, damn, I kind of was. Because like you said, you have this level of awareness, right? So you know when you're mean, you know when you're standoffish or whatever the description is. Then it may warrant a conversation like, you know what, thank you for sharing that, because I did realize that I was a little off. That wasn't my best today. But once you check in with you and you are clear about it, it stops there. Because if not, then we start to have to assess, what's this validation that I need for them to know who I am now?
That's the part.
Right?
Right.
Where it's
That's
like,
the part.
And we'll say quickly, like, I'm not seeking validation from other people. I don't care what people say, but then I'm barred that you thought that about me. So it always come back to self, where I get to say, like, why am I so moved by their opinion of me, knowing that that's not the truth? Unless there is some truth there, and that's uncomfortable for me. Yeah. That I am saying I'm this evolved, and maybe I really haven't as much. So it allows us to really play with just self. Like, I have been practicing, and hear me when I tell you, I don't always get it right, but I have been practicing saying, thank you, God, thank you, universe, for this opportunity, so I get to see me. Because it's never how it goes. It's never the issue. It's how I respond to the issue.
It's about the response.
Right? So you could call me a bitch and I'm unmoved. Somebody else is like, it brings up something for them. I remember when my mama used to call me a bitch, my baby father used to call me, it's something else, right? So it's never the issue. It's how I respond to the issue. So the universe needed you to have that encounter for it to feel something to say, what's that about? Even if it's to say, depending on the relationship with the other person, man, I hope that we get to know each other in a different way.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Instead of feeling like I need to say to you, that's not me anymore. Like, I'm not joining in
or
that.
Or punch you in the face.
Or that, because then, again, that reinforces the perception they hold of you. But it is also to say, man, I really wish, or it's my hopes, that we get to learn each other in these 40s. And they may say, what you mean by that? Because I realize when you interact with me, you still holding on to who I was when I was 20. So it's my hopes that we really get to explore one another at this age.
I like that.
That's loving to honoring. That, you know what I'm saying? It's loving to them, where it's not giving them what they think they're gonna get. It's honoring you, because it's like, I know I'm not there no more. You're not gonna keep telling me I'm this. But soon as I go in a rabbit hole of doing it, something else is happening now. That's a whole nother thing that we got to explore now.
I'm sitting here and I'm chuckling because my tolerance level, like once you've crossed into the area where you have like like set me off.
Yeah.
It's like X push you back out the square. No more conversation needed. Like, I'm not doing this with you. I'm not even gonna.
Yeah.
That's a cute little response though. I like that. That's very cute. That's very
I definitely have used that before. And it throws the other person off because that's not what they expected from me based off of what they feel about me. But I've also have said in a very direct way too. That's why I say you get to play with what that relationship is, because if you say that it's a relationship that you don't care about, you get to dismiss it right there. I assess me. Yeah. That's not my truth. That's not what my intent was. That's not what it was. And I get to release it. But those where it's a little closer and we got to admit, sometimes we do care what people think about us, you know? Yeah. So that's the ones that usually hit. But I have also said that to people, proving who I am now to you isn't important for me. Yeah. So I have had to be direct with people who are insistent on telling me who I am. You know, when it's insistent, then I do advocate. But again, advocating is still not proven. So remember that time I was there for you? Oh, I remember this. See, you see, I'm nice. I'm not doing that shit. I'm not playing that. But I have said I'm no longer trying to prove who I am now to you. The way you see me is an indication of where you are. Yeah, because it's nothing to do with me.
This led into my other annoyance.
Okay, go for it.
Well, this isn't my part. I have a different part too, but because then I was looking at my close friends on Instagram, and I'm like, who the fuck put these people here?
Oh wow.
Because I didn't put these people here.
Yeah.
I don't ever post anything to close friends. Yeah. Well, I've never. If I want in my close
friends. Me neither. I think I'm gonna try it. I'll be traveling in the next week or so. And I think I'm gonna finally do it. Like, I don't know who's in mind.
Exactly. Like, but, so the psychology of it is when I open my Instagram and I see a green bubble, I'm like, oh, I'm their close friend. What are they sharing today? Is it something? Yeah. Let me see what it is. I automatically want to see what it is, right? But I looked in. I was like, who are these people? Like, I didn't put you here. So I was like. Because niggas don't really know me. Like, I'm going through a whole rabbit hole.
You know, that's what I say to y'all even to this day. You don't even know me. Because I know what you don't know me.
So that was terrible. And so the other one is a little bit more... So I have been increasingly missing somebody I really love. Mm. And it's been getting heavier and heavier. Not heavier. I will say more like, you know how the level of awareness is when things just pop out to you and you catch them as soon as it pops out to you. Yes. And so, you know, I've had a few highlights over the past couple of weeks. Like I ran the 10K.
Yes, you did.
Y'all, I ran the 10K, and at 40, how old am I? 41. Mm-hmm. At 41, I beat the time that I ran the 10K at 35 and at 37.
That was a big deal. You killed it.
You
killed it. That app was very confusing, but once I got it, I was like, let's go. I really love some of the ones that you have shared before. They didn't allow you to
watch the person.
Exactly. Or send like cheering, encouraging things. Like, this was my first time experiencing that.
So I
was like, I just kept pressing different. Way to go, you got this. I was able to customize one. I felt like I was there. And I really love that. I love technology for stuff like that.
I think, and so that's where it started, right? Mm-hmm. When it started at the race, because it was like, and you know, I struggle when I have to operate outside of my natural self, or when I feel like I have to operate outside of my natural self. And so even with,
I wish we had time to explore that. What is? Your hands are freezing.
Freezing, I know. And so yes. So in sending the invitation to people to follow me on the racetrack, like not sending it to this person was like, oh, just whatever. And that's where it was apparent. And as I'm running, like, so it tells, as I'm running, it's telling everybody like the rate at which I'm running. It's telling me the rate at which I'm running. And the course was through downtown Baltimore. And I started out doing a 10-minute mile, like for the first 3 miles. The 4th mile was a hill. And I could see the fucking hill. And I'm like, I can't run up this hill. And so I'm walking up the hill. My pace drastically decreased on this hill. As I'm decreasing my pace, the cheers are coming in. My sister, Soph, Journey, like my cousin, like, it's like, you got it. My sister was like, slow down there in the middle. I was getting nervous for you, right? I was able, once I got over the hill, I went back to my regular pace. I finished the race. I vomited, y'all, crossing the finish line. like. But I was good. I was happy. I was smiling. I ran over to the side. I was just whatever. But it was very loud to me. This person missing was loud to me. I got featured in an article this week, right?
Congratulations.
And like not sharing it did. It made me miss this person. And so what I have been trying to do, because sometimes, not sometimes, I'll say in the past, my method was to just stay busy, to avoid the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, and to just like stay busy. I am not a huge journaler. I used to be. I have books and books and books of journals that I have filled, but as I've gotten older, it's harder for me to journal. So I've been talking. I've been having like audible conversations about my feelings, just trying to push through it. And so I'm acknowledging the feeling, which is hard for me. I'm trying to sit with it.
Yeah.
Not to allow it to like dominate my mood, and that's where even focusing on the health fair comes into play. It's like, this is something I love. This is something I take pride in. And it's not that I'm trying to forget about these, more, I'm not going to say they're hard feelings, but this other thing that's happening in my mind. But it's like, okay, this is a little bit of cloudiness, but here is the sun right here. And trying to be fair with myself.
Yeah.
About those things and be honest with myself.
That's it. That really is it. Thank you for being vulnerable. I know that could be or have been challenging for
you
at times, especially about areas that's really dear to your heart. So, I commend you for that. Also, just life is just so beautiful. Even as you was describing the race, that's literally what's happening for you right now, right? Like, what I'm hearing is just the steadiness. Like, I'm knocking it out, 10 minutes, this and this, and then it's this hill.
That's life.
Right. And you're looking at this hill like, nah, I can't do this. And, you do, and you persevere, and then it kind of stabilizes, and then you throw up and expound. Like, literally, as you were saying it, my stomach is like, this is even what's happening as you're grieving, missing.
And to add to it, since you have put that analogy out there, and today has been a day, hopefully, episode of takeaways, to be honest, but this is a beautiful analogy to even start to conclude with is, if you have ever ran a race, number one is they line you up at the starting line. You're lined up, you're placed in a group based on your pace. And so they have the faster people in the front, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next. And within each group, you have runners who are identified as pacers. And so the person I was running by, I think her pace at like 11 minutes. And sometimes I was ahead of the pacer, and sometimes I was in back of the pacer, right? So you're surrounded by all these people, right?
Your peers.
You're right. And so there was a lady who I didn't know, and she was by me while we were going up that hill, right? And I was actually in front of her before we got to the hill. And then she got in front of me. And then we was just like switching, and she was like, "You're my pacer." I was like, "We gonna get through this, girl."
Yeah.
I got to the end before her, but I saw her after the race, and I was like, "God!" So all of that, like, you can't compare your race to somebody else's.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because we may be all trying to get to the same place, but the way we get there is gonna be different. It's gonna look different, regardless. And even along the way, I think one of the things that I said that was very profound to me this week was sometimes your loudest cheerleaders are the people who don't know you and the people who are far from you. You know what I mean? And so I say all of that, and to say the lessons that I take from it is that you can't compare yourself out to how somebody else is doing life or how they're getting through life. You have these things, that these little suggestions and markers that we could follow to get us there.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna all look the same.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like I said, as you were describing that, and even talking about like really missing someone, I'm like, that's that too, right? Like Kubler-Ross, she describes it even with grief in these stages, right? But one of the beautiful things about denial, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. What happens is sometimes many people think that it goes in that linear way, and it really doesn't, right? It could be denial here, some anger there, some bargaining, like, oh, if this just switches out,
it switches back
the
and forth.
depression looks different. It could be just a longing, a sadness, all kind of feelings that come up. You could feel like you accepting, like, okay, things are different with us now, or whatever, and then other things pop back in, just like that race. It's like it's not this just linear way. But the most important thing is being honest with yourself. Even if you're not sending that message to the person or professing to social media or everyone that I'm really missing someone this week, but saying it to you.
Absolutely.
It's like the feelings, these big feelings that shows up that we want to eventually subside. What we fail to understand is it can't until you call it out.
Yeah.
Until you are able to acknowledge, I miss this person.
Yeah.
I miss, because that's what happens too, right? You're thinking about what was good, and sometimes you focus on what isn't good to make you feel like I don't want to miss the person. But in all actuality, it's never all bad.
Absolutely.
So it's like just being that raw with you. Even if it doesn't change, because I've said that to people before, and it's like, yeah, but doing that, it still doesn't change. I'm not back with the person, or I didn't get to see them. And it's like, I get it.
It's okay.
But at least you get to clear it up for you instead of trying to convince yourself, oh, I'm good, I'm over it. That's not your truth.
Right.
The truth is I do really miss this person. Yep. And that allows the ebb and flow of the feeling. That's where it is able to subside over time. If not, it gets louder and louder until you acknowledge it.
And it explodes.
Exactly.
Becomes
Before
explosive.
You know it, then you are Twitter fingers, and you are doing all kind of impulsive stuff because it has to find that out.
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful thing.
So, what are you going to be intentional about this week? Considering last week, as you move into, is there anything, one thing that you are going to change, add, implement?
I think I'm going to be intentional. I am going to be intentional about really just being present with my grief.
Okay.
Like I said, I keep saying, oh, I'm grieving, but haven't really sat with it where that good cry came out.
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
You know, whatever. So just sitting with it opposed to just identifying it, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's one of mine. And the second thing is I usually set intentions daily or every other day, but like affirming myself with being okay with wherever I am.
Okay.
Like saying it, like a clear affirmation of I am well, I am good today. You know, I am safe in this space that I'm in. So I have not done that in a little while. So those are two things.
Got it.
What about you? What you got?
I'm going back to the mat.
Okay.
Going back to the mat, I know that I feel better when I flow, and I did not flow all week.
Really?
I did not flow all week. And the other thing is I've been very prayerful this week, but I haven't been in my meditation space. And so, you know, there's a whole lot of controversy. We may get to it one day, how spiritual, religious people feel about the word meditation, but prayer is talking to God. Meditation is listening for me. And so I do need to sit in a space of hearing what is coming back to me. And so I'm going back to my mat this week.
I like that. I like that for you.
So
good stuff. So how do you usually conclude your sessions?
Well, you know, I never say that's time. I don't do that.
I hope not.
You remember I told you a therapist did that to me? I was pissed. I never went back.
And I was about to say, and it was already challenging to get you to go.
I never went back.
It was like, do you know what she said?
Just because the time was up. I was like in the middle of a cry.
Yeah.
But okay. Sounds good. So you have your assignment for the week. Next week, we'll be following up to see how it did. So
one of the things that I usually do, tell me something you know now that you didn't know before you started.
I'll say the reminder. Can I do a reminder? The reminder is that the reminder of not having to prove who I am to anybody. Like my work goes before me at the end of the day, meaning all the things that I do, whether it's on a personal level or a professional, how I show up, it always goes before what comes out of my mouth, what my face looks like. And so I don't have anything to prove. I appreciate that.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
So.
All right. This was good. This was cute. I like that. This was different. This was definitely different. Put us in a very vulnerable state, and that's always good for you guys to see and even for us to experience.
Absolutely. Therapy is dope is what we tag all of our posts. Therapy is dope. And so
you know how to find us.
On Instagram, Real Therapist. On YouTube, Real Therapist. We are now on TikTok.
Real.therapist.
Real.therapist.
I went to it yesterday. I was like, oh, we got some chatter about this co-parenting thing. It was
live.
You hear me?
If you need to reach us or would like to have some discussion, you can email us, realtherapist@gmail.com. That's all for this week.
Exactly. Be kind to you. Until
Peace.
next time.